CPF studios at Yonge and Eglinton, this is Acacia Mason. I can hardly believe another week has passed already. I don't know, maybe it's just me or perhaps my old age, but time seems to move that much quicker on me now. Well, I guess you don't want to hear about my old age, so let's move on to the business at hand then. The congressional elections are over, and what a result. The CPF took home an epic 15 seats in Congress in one of the best results we have ever had. Many of the races were tight and were truly decided at the last possible moment. But in the end, a new crop of Congresspeople were elected. Representing the CPF for this term are Pimp Dallas, Pando Box, Ben Martin, Wilhelm Gunter, Tyler F. Durden, Riled, Girk, Taiwan Panda, Silencer 2, AR1, JB DeVinnis, Spencer McGee, Addie Lawrence, Bobby Ross, and yes, if you can believe it, yours truly, Acacia Mason, in beautiful British Columbia. I have to admit, I'm still in awe of the results, and I still cannot believe that I'm in Congress. Here I thought I was going to have money left over to train with Lana, but now I have to go out and hire a trained monkey to serve as my secretary. I was also very impressed with your own results, pulling down a very respectable 10 seats in Congress, with special mention to Citizen B, who finished second in total votes received with 57. A truly impressive result, clearly a very popular individual. Now, all this happiness, though, unfortunately, was tempered by the absence of the very talented Carson Scaries. Now, you see, I told you I'd find a way to get your name into every single broadcast every single week, who unfortunately ran but came up just a little short. I got to admit, though, it would have been very entertaining having you around in Congress to help wind me up from time to time. Now, continuing on the CPF front, we acquired yet another company last week as we continue to grow our holdings and expand the Praters even further. Further than that, one of our weapons companies, the Black Watch, has been upgraded to a Q2 weapons company, and I've been asked to manage it, a job that I look to with great interest. At the same time, JB DeVinnis has released the first part of his platform, which speaks to the philosophy a government led by him will exercise. Now, I don't know about you, but this coming election is turning out to be a real good one. There are lots of great ideas being thrown around, and one can only hope that whoever wins takes away the best ideas and implements them fully, which I think is what any great leader does. You seek out the best ideas, the best alternatives, and then you bring them into your own fold and you bring them into reality. Now, the last thing I want to do is congratulate the leadership team of the CPF. We are proud to report that our membership is growing, and at last count, we had almost 330 party members. Now, this is truly a magnificent result, and we hope to be able to continue to grow our presence in eCanada and continue to be a formidable force to reckon with. Now on to the fun stuff. Duke Leto made it clear that my last podcast was not up to his discerning standards. Now, I know what you're asking yourself. What standards? I'm only kidding, Duke. We know you have high standards. So, okay, in an effort to appease him, I'm going to make mention of an organization that is near and dear to his heart. No, not Star Trek. I'm speaking of the one and only Church of Xena Archie. Now, I'm not a disciple of this church. Hell, I'm not even sure what this church is, but I do know that it was very important for me to plug in this podcast this particular church, and hopefully I said the name right, because frankly, I'm not even sure I said the name right. In other news, the cow jumped over the moon, and the fork ran off with a spoon. Now, before I delve into the last portion of this podcast, I was going to do a top 10 list, because that's what Duke asked me to do, and of course I do whatever Duke asks me to do. But instead, I'm going to share with you the top 14 lesser-known laws of Murphy. I am, of course, assuming you know about Murphy's Law, and if you don't, go find Google and look it up. You definitely want to check that out, because Murphy's Law has a very funny way of getting revenge on everybody. Now, before I begin, I want to apologize to anybody named Murphy who might be listening to this podcast. So, here we go. Number 1. Light travels faster than sound. This is why some people appear bright until you hear them speak. Number 2. He who laughs last clearly thinks the slowest. Number 3. Change is inevitable, except from a vending machine. Number 4, those who live by the sword get shot by those who don't. Number 5, nothing is foolproof to a sufficiently talented fool. Number 6, the 50-50-90 rule. Anytime you have a 50-50 chance of getting something right, there's a 90% probability you'll get it wrong. Number 7, if you lined up all the cars in the world, end to end, someone would still be stupid enough to try to pass them, 5 or 6 at a time, on a hill, in the fog. Number 8, if the shoe fits, get another one just like it. Number 9, the first things that come to those who wait will be the things left by those who got there first. Number 10, give a man a fish, and he will eat for a day. Teach a man to fish, and he will sit in a boat all day drinking beer. Number 11, definition of flashlight: a metal tube used to store dead batteries. Number 12, the shin bone is a device for finding furniture in a dark room. Number 13, a fine is a tax for doing wrong. A tax is a fine for doing well. And last but not least, number 14, when you go into court, you're putting yourself in the hands of 12 people who were simply not smart enough to get out of jury duty. So there you have it. And now to conclude this episode, my installment of something you didn't know about Acacia. Did you know that my all-time favorite author is Dean Koontz? That's right, I have read almost every Dean Koontz novel ever written, with the exception of the last few. And the last few I'm got on my nightstand right now, and I'm probably in the process of reading. I've been reading Dean's books since high school, and of all of them, I'd have to say my favorite is a recent series about a character named Odd Thomas. Currently there's 4 books in the series thus far, and there may yet be another one. If you've never read any of Dean's fiction, you are truly missing out, so why not pick up one of his novels and see for yourself just how talented this author really is. Now what about you? Who's sitting on your night table? And the first person to say Acacia's mom is going to get smacked. Well, that's it for this week. This week's podcast was brought to you by the number 10, the color red, and the official CPF law firm of Dewey, Cheatham & Howe. Thank you, and good day.